Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, president and founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. Without any further ado, let's get started. So, I noticed a disturbing trend, and my good friend Michael Sahota just wrote about this trend, so I thought it was pretty timely. So I thought I would go ahead and talk about what he discusses, and it's from an article that's called Why Scrum Masters and Product Owners Are the New Managers. And that kind of freaked me out at first, because I'm like, the new managers, what are you talking about? And then he goes on to give me his best Admiral Akbar. It's a trap, right? It's unintentional. It's often very subtle, but Scrum Masters and product owners are actually beginning to behave like managers, or more like managers. I guess my question then becomes, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And how is it impacting many organizations? So what I can tell you is I've been in organizations where we've had really, really powerful product owners who really understand the voice of the customer, who've done all their research, who understand all the things from design to ideation to implementation to evaluation to get all the way through the framework and get things delivered. And they lean on other people when they don't have expertise, and they find out good information, and they really do manage their backlog very well. And I did air quotes when I said manage. In that sense, I do see a product owner being a powerful manager. It's just they're a manager of information, not necessarily a manager of people. And that begs to Scrum Master. Now, I've seen Scrum Masters that are weak, and I've seen organizations really struggle. The power in which, the amount of time it takes and the power in which you advance from being traditional project management to agile project management rests squarely on the shoulder of how effectively your Scrum Master can behave. And I find that many Scrum Masters who are extraordinary are helping organizations really accelerate. We're starting to see really powerful advanced certified Scrum Masters, or CSPs, who are pushing the outer limits and helping organizations really get their Scrum feet under them. They're almost becoming, in a sense, Agile coach. Now, I'm not saying that all Scrum Masters are in that position, because I'm still also seeing many people who have Scrum Masters that take on 2 or 3 other roles. I'm even working with a company right now who will remain unnamed, who said, why do we need a Scrum Master? We can take those responsibilities and delegate them across these other 6 positions. And I was like, oh my goodness, you guys are killing me. But it's still happening. So I guess my question for you is, if either of these roles get challenged in any way or compromised, is it true that the team's performance is also going to be challenged or compromised? And my answer is simple. My answer is yes. For whatever reason, people like to try to default to hierarchical roles, and they don't recognize that 70% of what a Scrum Master does, for example, can't be measured or quantified. So it leads you into this place where there's a blur about what a Scrum Master actually does. It's kind of like during a halftime show when The Weeknd went inside of that gold room and had the fisheye lens, and it was just a blur, and it was all crazy, and people were just trying to figure out what on earth was happening. That's for all of you who watched the Super Bowl yesterday. But there's just so much going on, right? The deal is this. If the whole point of Agile is to get rid of managers, then what are we doing? Sure, in theory it works, but as long as they're human beings, we're going to have some different levels of capability, different roles, different levels of authority, different responsibility. It's natural, and it's going to be there. If you get rid of any role or distinction of authority and just flatten everything completely, people have a more natural desire to have some sense of order. There's a lot of psychology behind this, where people are looking for their leader. People are looking for someone to rally behind. And I'm not saying that necessarily means that you have to have a pecking order, but if people know who's guiding the evolution of a product, or people know who to turn to help them facilitate or to solve problems, that generally makes things a lot easier. And this is why having roles and responsibilities and having some type of clear understanding delineation of them is a natural thing. And it's very natural, in fact. And it's just something that needs to be there. We talk about the term psychological safety a lot. And I think that this ties directly into that, because I think that when you start talking about the advanced makeup and composition of people and teams, and and Scrum Masters and product owners and people who have to, push through and break through to get to ideas, I think there's innovation along the way and lots of opportunities for people to facilitate and to get things done. When people take Scrum and just apply it right out of the box as prescribed, they get their copy of Scrum for Dummies, they read the book, they prescribe, they do it exactly as prescribed. People have an expectation that someone's going to be in charge and tell them what to do next. Okay, now what do I do? And this is crazy because it kind of bodes like I'm pushing against myself here, but sometimes this is why people bring in coaches. Because if you're not sure which steps to take next, you certainly should have some guidance. So it's one of these things where until you get to the point where you kind of understand how the flow goes and what's going to happen and what things to tackle next, what button do I push next, it's incredibly important for you to respect and honor the roles of Scrum Master and Product Owner, right? So it's an example that needs to be adjusted. We need to figure out what roles our Scrum Masters are playing and what roles our product owners are playing and ask ourselves, are they actually behaving in a way that uplifts the organization, that accelerates the pace at which we deliver things, but doesn't force us to work on too many things at once? Have we evolved and understand what a true product owner does and that they're not just a single entity that knows everything, that they need to lean on other individuals to find things out before they make those singular focused decisions? In no way am I saying a product owner should be more than one person. But what I am saying is that it's often hard for a product owner to have all the focus that they need to make those incredibly important decisions. Likewise with a Scrum Master. Is your Scrum Master more of a command and control Scrum Master who thinks they're the owner of the process and they're just forcing things down people's throat? Or is your Scrum Master a different kind of person? Are they there to actually serve the team and uplift them and model an evolutionary journey? It's almost like they're your Sherpa more than anything, right? They're your guide. They're your coach. They're there to inspire, to hold space, to invite change, to be a powerful catalyst, to help things move from ordinary to extraordinary. And I think that their whole goal is to get the team to a point where they don't have a long-term dependency on a Scrum Master. I know it sounds weird, but they almost want to write their way out of a job so that they can move on and help guide other teams. So through them, they need to guide, not control. And I think that if you can get to the point where you're inspiring people to understand what these responsibilities are and you understand what you should be doing, then it's going to help everyone in the organization accelerate and it's going to help your team get to high performing. So I really do say in all my classes that one of the barriers to high performing teams is that your Scrum Master and Product Owner are not behaving in such a way that support high performing teams. And they're almost the enemy to the high performing team. So I think it's just good that we bring this up and that everyone's aware. So in short, I think if you're going to build an agile culture, you need to start with a core understanding that the way people behave and the titles are going to shift and they're going to morph over time. And it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly fine. It's just a matter of you aligning the way that you think and trying to get everything set up in such a way that it helps your organization to do what they need to do. And my one last piece of advice is whatever you do, make sure you honor load limits or work in progress limits. The less amount of projects you can have in motion at any time, the fewer projects you can have in motion at any time, the less work the team has that they need to decentralize their focus on, the better off they're going to be. If they can centralize their focus in one area and swarm to get the work done, you're going to get things delivered sooner and it's going to make a lot happier organization. That's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Daily Stand-Up. As always, we encourage you to visit AgileDad.com if you have questions or if you want more information about this or any other Agile topic. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Go Bucks.